Hi class, we're wrapping up Module 4 today. Almost done with our entire class actually. And investing strategy and setting goals for savings and investing. Of course we have to make enough money, have a plan that allows us to save and invest, and then actually invest. So what are some basic guidelines? Do I have to have a ton of money to start with when I do have investments? Can I just sit and watch them grow? Somewhat, but not always. So earn to invest rather than earn to spend, having that mentality. Focus on your lifestyles and your financial goals. I think if many of you look back at your spending logs, you could probably, those of you who kept accurate ones, could probably look and say, oh wow, like there's some money here that's really maybe not going to as important thing as it could. Persevere, don't be a quitter. You guys aren't quitters, so don't give up. Let the mistakes you make be lessons, learn from your mistakes, and look for value in your investments. Be the one that controls the money rather than the money controlling you. Avoid unnecessary fees, whether that's a fee for getting a paper statement from your bank or broker fees, late fees, all those kind of things are also unnecessary. Believe in yourself, take some risk, but be sure you're strategic and be generous. So first, you have to make enough money to have something left to invest or to save. You have to cover your expenses, and so plugging those spending leaks like you might find you saw in your spending log, and taking advantage of if your employer is going to match retirement funds, you're just throwing money away, leaving money on the table if you don't take advantage. And taking time to evaluate your situation every year, just taking stock of where things are and what changes you might need to make. Second step, having some long-term savings and investing goals, and deciding what your best options are, including that in a spending plan where you're actually leave some room in your spending plan for not just an emergency fund type saving, but actually investing. Taking advantage of payroll savings plans where the money could be directly deducted so you never see it, you're not tempted to spend it. And contributing to tax advantaged savings plan. That could be for education, that could be for retirement, where you can contribute to these things with pre-tax money, or perhaps earn tax credits or deductions. So Warren Buffett invests in top quality, profitable companies with products you understand, that they have good managers and lots of cash to reinvest in the company, and then just keep them. Just let it ride. So step 3 on building wealth, invest so that the money starts working for you. So know what you're investing in. This goes right along with the advice from Warren Buffett on the previous page. Think long term. Be sure that you take some risks so that you stay ahead of inflation. Remember, inflation on the long term has averaged about 3%. Might be good to know that 3% number. Little hint for the test coming up. Pay attention to your risk tolerance. So, don't go outside of what you're comfortable with. Take advantage of compound interest, absolutely. And with today's assignment about compound interest, you will learn more about the frequency of compounding and the difference that makes. Diversify your investments. Remember, the reason to diversify is that you're not having all of your risk in one company or one type of company. Another reason to diversify is it greatens the odds that you're going to make money. Because maybe if this one doesn't make money, maybe this stock does, for instance. So it lessens your risks and increases your chance of reward when you diversify. Reinvesting the earnings, this doesn't mean all your earnings that you're like from your regular job, but on your investments. So instead of taking dividends and things out, just keep reinvesting them, just keep letting that money grow. And then dollar cost averaging, the idea behind that, we didn't talk a lot about it, but the idea behind that is you don't have to wait until you have a large sum to invest. That when you just invest in small amounts along the way, that if you can invest $50 every week as opposed to waiting 3 months to invest $500. And then that you pick up some stocks while they're lower, some while they're higher, and that's where they get that idea of averaging. So, and here we go, dollar cost averaging. So investing a set amount at regular intervals. And so that helps you receive those benefits of compounding instead of being worried about, is it the best price to get it, or is it the lowest price? Is this just start doing it. Just getting started early, again, it's just another idea where that comes in. And so this has to do with Whitney's investment, and I think that's in your book. I'll have to look again. But her current value is actually greater than the total amount that she paid. So 7 paths to pure trouble. And you may have heard about things, scams and schemes that people have fallen for, but trusting others blindly, falling for fairy tales, so if it's too good to be true, it probably is, relying completely on past performance. You have to look at what's happening in the world going forward. You do not want to be borrowing money to invest. So I think we had Justin, the young man who basically borrowed to buy those videos, but generally borrowing to buy stock, invest is not a good plan. Holding only one investment is also not good because you want to diversify. Flipping stocks means buying and selling quickly. So just like job hopping wasn't a good idea, flipping stocks of trying to I'm gonna try to beat the system and buy and sell often is not a good idea. Getting too emotional about investments, oh, but I just really love Buick, or whatever it might be. But my first car was this brand, and so I always wanted to hold this stock. Well, if Chrysler's going under, you don't want to hold that stock. Maybe you do. Maybe it's come back. There's all kinds of things. So there was a time period that Chrysler was not doing well. It's probably been 15, 20 years ago now, before some of you would remember. But just don't let it be an emotional thing. And when you are investing, you have some rights and some responsibilities. You have the right to select your own or change your advisor or brokerage form or broker. You have the right to know if they have a conflict of interest. So if they're trying to get you to buy a certain stock and there's some reason that they would benefit more from that, or benefit from you buying at the wrong time. You have the right to get timely and accurate information and receive the best recommendations, be treated ethically. You can report investing problems, and you have the right to have your financial data kept private. You also have responsibilities. Be informed. It's your responsibility to actually read things. They send you those things if you own stocks or mutual funds, but it's your responsibility to read them, to verify the credentials of someone who's going to handle your investments, reading your statements, keeping your statements, making sure that your broker or your investment advisor knows about what your goals are and that you tell them about changes in your goals. Reporting things that, like, I don't remember authorizing this. Reporting problems, protecting your information, paying taxes on your earnings, and just carefully consider these things before making decisions. So just because you have an advisor doesn't mean you don't have responsibilities yourself. So, who's got your back? Well, the SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, state securities regulators, and then you also probably, most of us is probably most familiar with FDIC, because when we go in and out of a bank or credit union, we see FDIC that they are insured. And there's also the Securities Investor Protection. So there are all kinds of safeguards put in place to help keep you from being taken advantage of. All right, so tomorrow we have a test, and that test, I will be posting some more information, but you want to be sure that you can kind of rank which investment types are the riskiest and which are the safest. A money market deposit account is like a savings or checking account, like a checking account with interest. So money market, savings, checking, those are all going to be very low return, but basically no risk. A CD and a U.S. savings bond, also very little risk, a little higher return because you need to keep them a certain amount of time to get the full amount of the return. Mutual funds are stocks and perhaps bonds, but they're not all in one company. So they offer a higher return but less risk than everything being in one company. Startup stocks would have high returns but very high risk because you would be buying everything all in one company. Collectibles, also high risk. Could be high return, but high risk. Remember, risk and reward, risk and return typically go hand in hand. So if something seems like there's a chance to make a really high percent on it, that means there's also a chance that you could lose. So the risk goes with the reward. So something like a collectible would be the highest risk when compared to stock in one company, next highest risk. Mutual fund, which is still stocks and some bonds, but not all in one company. Bonds, and then a savings account would be the lowest risk, but it's also the lowest reward. Remember, savings versus investing. Saving, you're putting it aside, but it's not necessarily making much money. What are some reasons you'd put savings in a bank? Well, it could get stolen. You could be tempted to spend it. It gets no return if it's just in a drawer somewhere rather than in the bank. After you've done your compound interest, you should be in good shape to answer some questions about that. Otherwise, really just look back over your booklet. Again, you will be able to use that as always, and I will list some words that you need to be familiar with.